springtime fresh because, well, it's springtime and I did have a shower. Oh, hey! Hi! It's me! Well, my Fingerdoo with the Fingerdoo review. It's the review of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 11, Episode 10. Oh, we're almost done, sweepy. Thank goodness is one thing, but on the other side, it's becoming a nail biter, ain't it? Oh, so all I have to say is, Jorge, drink me! What is this? Is it a glass of water? Prosecco? What am I supposed to do with Prosecco? Oh, is this what? Oh, all right, okay. This is Jorge's attempt at a drinking trick. Although I've seen his drinking tricks. This is the best one. You don't need penicillin after, I'm just saying. All right, so for those of you who are diehard Wilma fans, you know I'm a huge fan of the depth charge, which is what I call a Boilermaker. But I took the depth charge, which is beer and whiskey, barf, and I goosed it up a little bit. Basically, you can do this with anything. Any mix, any shot. Today, I'm using Prosecco, which is just an Italian word for sparkling wine, and a shot of watermelon vodka because, well, it's springtime and I'm getting ready for patio season. And how do you use a depth charge, you ask? Well, it's so super simple. It's so easy. It's just you do this. 1, 2, 3, depth charge. Ooh, it's so splashy on my new dress. Oh, watermelon-y, Prosecco-y, yummy. All right, so let's get to it. We started this episode off by saying bye to Plastique, and now we're at that part in the game where the names, the heavy hitters, are starting to get kicked out, which is probably why Suge was taking this news of Plastique's departure a little close to home, because, well, she had a better runway than Suge. No troll dolls in Plastique's runway. Another person who seemed to be reflecting on that last week's critiques from the judges was Miss Silky Ganache, I'm just saying. Apparently, she was all caught up in her own panties over being called a roach. Now, I would like to say, I thought she looked like a roach too. I mean, as I said, if she'd had another pair of arms, then she would have looked like a roach. If she'd had wings, she would have looked like a fly. She looked like neither, so I'm assuming it was a roach that a 8-year-old had gotten its hands on. Pluck, pluck, pluck. And then when she took her face bikini off, she said that she had sun makeup on. She had black glitter on her lips, which made her look like she had been eating black gummies or something. Do you know what I mean? She just, no shaving, no makeup around the mouth, minimum effort. Next dress superstar, I'm just saying. Need another shot of my depth charge. Charging. Another queen who was feeling some emotions from last week's judgment was Nina. Now, not that she had any judgment, she just didn't have any positive judgment either, because she was safe. I agree with her. I think that if she had not acquiesced to Brooklyn Heights' demands or requests, she might have at least been further into the challenge. I don't know if she possibly could have won it, I'm just saying. Now, I don't think, as Nina said, she's not bitter, but I feel she's upset that she wasn't thanked by Brooklyn Heights. Now, what Nina didn't realize is that Brooklyn had kind of thanked her offhand, tagged it onto something else. RuPaul brought up, and Nina was great. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Nina was great. Couldn't have done it without her. I mean, if Ru hadn't said that to Brooklyn, would she have said that about Nina? The next day in the workroom, RuPaul showed up with this week's mini challenge, Balls to the Wall, which was not what I was expecting it to be. What it was the queens had to get balls into a basket that was in front of a wall. Simple enough. And they had to do it teamed to a pit crew member. I love a full pit crew, especially when they're herded in by Miss Delta Work. I'm so serious. Good to see Delta. She looked good. Miss Suge went first. She had sexy Jason, longest member. Well, that sounds wrong. He's been with the pit crew the longest, almost since season 2, I think. And they had to do head to butt. Suge's head to Jason's yummy butt. Look at it shake. Whoa! I slow motioned it a few times, I'm not going to lie to you. Their second attempt, Disco Balls, Ass to Ass, which Ru said was the name of her new album. And if she doesn't call her next album that, I'm writing her a strongly worded letter. I'm so serious. Brooklyn Heights was lucky enough to be teamed with Bruno, and Bruno took the challenge quite seriously, or at least took matters into his own hand by clutching Brooklyn close, much to Vanjie's chagrin. Speaking of Vanjie, I don't know if she was jealous or trying to prove a point, but she went full tilt boogie with her pit crew member to get balls in that basket too. A lot of touching, or ass cupping. I'm going to call that ass cupping. But the person who seemed to get the most handsy with their pit crew member was Silky Nutmeg Ganache. She had OG pit crew member Sean with her, and they had to do ear to hip. Well, Silky went that one step better and picked him up to make sure his hip didn't leave her ear, walked him to the basket. And as interesting as that was, she didn't get as many balls in the basket in the quickest amount of time as Ms. Vanjie. Vanjie was this week's mini challenge winner, which was good for Vanjie because she hasn't won a friggin' thing so far this whole season. So she's finally got her cookies or coins or whatever she's calling money this hour. Just saying. So after everyone said goodbye to Delta and the pit crew, she should form a band, it was revealed to Vanjie that she had won an advantage in the main challenge. The main challenge was that the girls had to put on a magic show. Ooh. The advantage was that Vanjie got to pick her team. Now, if I had been Vanjie and she wanted to win, or at least do better this challenge, I would have started with Nina. Nina is, and has been solid with these challenges. Vanjie, not so much. And I think that Vanjie's dream team would have been Vanjie, Nina, and Akira, because that would have been a big mess on the other team. I'm just saying, Brooklyn is shook, Quiet Girls with Silky taking over and Evie arguing with everyone on the way to the finishing line. It would have been a different episode, I'm just saying. But that's not how it went. Vanjie picked her dream girls in Evie, which left Nina, Brooklyn Heights, and Suge. A good mix, in theory. In fact, I thought both teams, in theory, were good. But right away, in the workroom, Team White Girls just kind of hunkered down and started to overthink. Right away, who were they? What were they? What were their names? Could they be sorority sisters? What sorority? A lot of questions. Now, I'm not judging the questions because I think these are important questions to have. But when you have these questions with other people who have no answers, it can take a long time to fill in the blanks. I'm just saying. On the other team, Team The Black Magic, there was no questions. No questions at all. Because 50% of the team was okay to wing it. Akira and Silky were okay to wing it. Now, Vanjie was not interested in winging it, especially after RuPaul dropped into the workroom to check on everyone's progress and more or less said to her face, don't wing it. Write stuff down. Be prepared. And so I can see why Vanjie was worried about not doing well in this challenge. But Evie, another overthinker, was also thinking that they should be writing more stuff. And she got right down to it. And good for her. Because, well, she doesn't play well with others. Just saying. Personally, I thought it was funny that Silky felt that all the talented girls were on her team. Maybe that's why they didn't try so hard. Overconfident. Or lazy. Of course, back over on Team White Girls, Ru was stirring Brooklyn's pot by picking on her and making fun of her, or at least trying to get to the bottom, so to speak, of her relationship with Vanjie. I thought that was very funny. And it was very cute to watch Brooklyn blush. But seriously, if you're going to stick your tongue down someone's throat in front of people, expect them to talk to you about it. Just saying. Of course, one question that Ru did ask Brooklyn was, were you upset that Vanjie didn't pick you for her team? Well, Brooklyn said no. And I agree. I'm going to say, I think that Brooklyn Heights absolutely was not put out by that at all. I think Vanjie was more put out by Brooklyn not picking her last week. This week, I think that A, Brooklyn was expecting it, and B, Brooklyn doesn't care. That said, she's all but admitted that to Ru, saying, well, you know, it's professional. We're here for a reason. We don't want to let our relationship get in the way. But back over with Vanjie, I have to say, I feel that Vanjie's choice, she admitted that last week she was a little hurt by not being picked, but I'm just going to say, I think that this was payback for Brooklyn. And again, I'm just going to say this. It would have been perfect payback if Vanjie had picked Nina for herself. It would have proved a point, shown everybody how good she could be with someone like Nina. Just like Brooklyn Heights did. Just saying. Somebody else Rue had some questions for was Suge. She asked her what she planned to do to not be overshadowed by her team this week, because she was sorely overshadowed by Silky the week before. Well, Suge didn't really have any answers to those questions. Although she did say that the team was doing a lot of prep, and that once that was done, she felt that she would have a better handle on her character, which would make her execution better. Personally, I just think that's fancy talk for we have no idea what we're doing. I'm just saying. One of the things I loved was that while asking the queens if they knew any magic, Brooklyn Heights said she can make her eyebrows disappear, and RuPaul dropped a fabulous Auntie Mame reference. Now, for those of you who don't know who Auntie Mame is, shame on you, we can't be friends. But Google her. Then it was time for the queens to learn some magic with Kyle Marlette, Vegas magician. He taught Akira how to swallow a balloon, which something tells me Akira swallowed a balloon or two in her time, just saying. Silky Nutmeg Ganache learned the disappearing milk trick, and even though there was some leakage, it was still very impressive to watch her learn that, I'm just saying. Another trick that I thought was going to be spectacular once you got the hang of it was Nina's bottles trick, moving them around and producing all these bottles out of these two tubes. I have to say, even watching her learn it was impressive, I'm just saying. Of course, I was very disappointed in both Suge and Evie's tricks. Even when the magician taught him the tricks, they didn't look impressive. There was no, even said to Suge that this one's all show, literally, you just have to, which I felt even the magician in showing, even Kyle showing her how to do it, I don't think he really did it very well. I'm just saying. It couldn't have been going over very well because Silky slept through most of the rehearsal. That sounds about right to me. The one thing that confused me a lot was Brooklyn Heights and her trick. That card trick, the floating card trick, I thought looked great. And the way Brooklyn did it, where it almost became a dance move, where she was dancing with the floating card, I thought was magical. But she bitched and moaned about it. She didn't like it. And one thing we've definitely learned about Ms. Brooklyn Heights, she gets what she wants if she bitches long enough. So, by the time it came to performing, she was doing a whole new trick. I'm just saying. One thing for sure, after that rehearsal, Evie oddly was certainly humbled by the other team. They had characters, they had jokes already while they were rehearsing, and this all comes from writing stuff down and being prepared. I'm just saying, anyone who has an issue with over-preparing for a scene needs to remember this moment right here. Evie felt that her team needed to prepare more, and by preparing, she felt writing stuff down, which, of course, was the beginning of the end for her team. I'm just saying. And then it was Elimination Day. The girls got ready for their magical routines. It was very clear right away that Akira wasn't feeling it. For some reason or another, she just was not happy. And I think one of the reasons she wasn't happy was because her team did a lot of changing as far as their structure was from the night before. One thing they had found out in the rehearsal was that they were all filthy. Filthy, filthy, filthy. All their jokes were toilet humor and X-rated. So they changed all that. And I think that Akira just wasn't feeling confident anymore. I think one of the reasons that Akira likes to improv, and I can certainly relate to this, is that when you improvise, there's no memorizing, which means nothing's wrong. The minute you have to remember cues and remember saying certain things, then it all becomes a lot more difficult. I'm just saying. So with that worrying the heck out of her, the queens hit the runway. But not before Talkie giggled at herself in the mirror. I'm starting to see that trucker now. On the runway, Rue dazzled us with red hair, which is why I put this number on today. I love it when Rue wears something other than blonde. Not that I don't love her in blonde, I just like the change style thing. Of course, Michelle Visage was there looking fabulous, as was Ross Matthews, because, he's Ralph Matthews. We also had, from 13 Reasons Why, Catherine Langford and Jane the Virgin herself, Gina Rodriguez. So, the show began. First up, the Mighty Tucks, aka Team White Girls. I have to say, they did excellently right from the start. Michelle Visage said it was like a Saturday Night Live sketch. I would like to say it was better than a Saturday Night Live sketch because this was funny. Brooklyn was great. Suge was great. That whole first trick of bringing Nina out through the door was fabulous. In fact, I'm going to say all of the girls' tricks as a group were great. They did bringing Nina out. They did the box, Suge and Brooklyn switching places on top of a locked box. Those tricks were spectacular. Another trick that was spectacular was Nina's presentation with the bottles. It was brilliant. Nina was hilarious. It was hilarious. I couldn't get enough of it. I'm sorry that Brooklyn changed her trick, because that trick was lamer than the card trick, because, well, anyone can hold a glass ball in their hand and do that. I'm just saying. And poor Suge, God bless her. For somebody who had to stand out, she did not at all. She made no effort. And her trick was stupid. No offense to anyone. It was a stupid trick. But they were still way better than Team Da Black Magic. And right off the bat, Team Da Black Magic had that huge orange thing, and they wrapped it around Akira, and out came Silky. The only thing that I hated about that whole thing was them saying Da Black Magic 400 times while they did it. It looked like they were really struggling with it too. And then when it happened, I didn't care. I didn't care anymore. And then there's Silky. They show that no one's behind the fabric that they're using, fold it all up. And then Akira made that awkward walk on stage. I'm here, that kind of thing. I just, in general, with Team Da Black Magic, less impressed. I don't feel that, and the only trick I thought that was impressive for them as a team was Akira and her balloon. Just saying. Gotta give the people what they want. And can I just ask, was that Raven in the audience? They keeping her busy there? She got time to watch shows? My other critique with Team Da Black Magic is about Vanessa Vanjie Mateo. She said her name was Vanishing Vanjie, and she never did. So that's false advertising, I'm just saying. So, with the glitter of the stage behind them, it was time for the girls to hit the runway in their caftan realness. I have to say, I love me a caftan. It's so breezy and easy. You just throw it on and hit the streets. Just saying. And the first queen to hit the runway was Silky Ganache in that ballsy number. I have to say, I quite like this, although I wish that the caftan had been sewn up the sides, just so it was a real caftan as opposed to a bit of fabric with a hole in the middle. But it was a gorgeous piece of fabric, and I love the balls. Evie's Holy Crocheted caftan was gorgeous. The headpiece on her, the gold on her head. I thought she looked great, and I thought this was a very unique caftan, just saying. And then Akira came down the runway in that beautiful outfit. It was a beautiful outfit. This is one of the, it was a lovely, lovely butterfly outfit, but I agree completely with Ross Matthews. It was not a caftan. It was a jumpsuit at best. I'm just saying, it still was beautiful. Vanessa Vanjie Mateo shocked the judges by finally giving Michelle what she wanted, a different silhouette. And not just a different silhouette, a fantastic caftan and turban combo. I agree with Michelle. I would wear this outfit too. This was classic. Although I didn't like that nose ring. I love a nose piercing. I like that piercing. I think that's a fun piercing. But when you hang something like a door knocker off of there and it hides your upper lip, it just makes you look like you're going through life like this. Do you know what I'm saying? Made Vanjie's face look weird. Brooklyn Heights aubergine. Fantasy aubergine is French for eggplant. Purple. Just gonna say. But her caftan and chiffon catching, and she's swinging it around, and that hair. She looked like Detox. Didn't she just look exactly like Detox? Or at least, I'm just gonna say, Detox would wear that outfit. In a heartbeat, Detox would wear that outfit. It was stunning, and clearly, the judges loved it. Sugar Cane hit the runway in a gorgeous Russian-influenced, or at least that's what it looked like, fur-trimmed caftan. It was stunning, something après-ski. I think at the chalet in front of a fire, you'd have this wrapped around you. And not much else, I'm just saying. And then she went and ruined it by having 2 other caftans on it, under it. Now, in Suge's defense, I guess because the first caftan had a Russian theme to it, I guess she felt it had to be Russian nesting dolls of caftans. Bing, bing, bing. I didn't hate the other caftans, but that second one looked cheap, and then the third one was just flirty and fun. It really took a lot of the oomph away from that first caftan, I'm just saying. And then Nina West hit the runway in that gorgeous Elizabeth Taylor-inspired caftan, and my only wish was that she had worn Elizabeth Taylor turban with it. Because, although I love that wig on Nina, I felt that because Brooklyn had worn almost the exact same wig just before her, I would have switched it up. I'm just saying. I mean, seriously, who doesn't love a turban? I'm just saying. And then the judges judged. First of all, I'm glad that Michelle and Rue told Silky to step it up. They were not happy with her outfit. It needed ironing, her pads were weird, and it looked to me like she was wearing one set of tights or a couple of pairs of nylons over her hip pads. And Michelle is absolutely right. Extra tights would have smoothed that out right away. And I'm just glad that they said it to her, because although Silky's come away from the critiques feeling like these were like just hints for her to step it up, she still, to my opinion, hasn't yet. She's still floating on what she thinks is good enough for her to win. And I just hope she doesn't blow it. That's all I'm saying. Seriously. Ross Matthews sensed there was something wrong with Evie during the performance and asked her about it. Well, Evie then admitted that they had to rewrite their whole show and that she was the one who did most of it, much to Vanjie's chagrin, who almost had it out with Evie right there on stage. I wish she had. But the reason that Vanjie was upset at what Evie said was that Rue had just literally the day before said as much to Vanjie. She didn't want anyone to think that she was coasting through. In fact, it broke my heart just a little bit to watch Vanjie get teary with Michelle after she said, "You have no personality." It was nice, though, and touching to see Brooklyn comfort Vanjie at that point, because seriously, what a lot to hear. And who was the judge's favorite this week? Well, it was no contest there. Nina West. She was the magician who sparkled the most. Even Catherine Langford said that she would cast Nina in anything and watch her, as would I, I'm just saying. So it was no surprise to anyone, certainly not me, that this was Nina's second win. It puts her in good standing, too, because now she's up there with Silky Nutmeg Ganache, Brooklyn Heights, and Akira. All 4 of them, 2 wins. The only other girl with a win, Evie. Just has that one. When she got the second episode. Just say it. All the girls from the Mighty Tuck seemed to do well as far as the judges were concerned, except for Suge. And again, in a lineup of standouts, Suge just fell short. There was nothing you could do. She made, I think, the wrong runway choice, and she didn't push herself enough in the scene. So it's no surprise to me, anyway, that Suge was in the bottom this week. I'm also not surprised that Vanjie was in the bottom again, although my heart didn't want her to be there. But it broke my heart that there she was again. But you could see that Vanjie was certainly fed up with being in the bottom herself. And with this lip sync, it was Mary J. Blige's No More Drama. And I can't imagine a better song for Vanjie to be inspired to try harder with, which she did. As defeated as she was off the top, that song is very mellow out of the gate. And as it built, Vanjie started stripping off her jewelry. She got rid of this. She got rid of that. Stripped stuff down. Got to the point necklace came off. Then her turban, which she flipped off, and then was whipping her hair back and forth. She did such a great job. It was so emotional. When everything had settled and the queens were catching their breath, Rue announced that Vanjie not only was staying, but that what she had done on stage was magical. And I agree. there was no better way for Vanjie to have stayed. And I'd like to point out, she knew all the words this time. I don't know, some people said she didn't know all the words last week. I'm just saying. Which made it so hard to say goodbye to Sugar Cane. I thought Sugar had a chance to be in the top 5, but I also said that she struck me as somebody who could, if she got into the bottom, get eliminated by a stronger performer, which she did. But as much as it saddens me to say goodbye to Sugar, I'm so glad that we got to meet her. She is just a hoot. And I think that she's somebody who's going to grow from this experience in ways we have yet to imagine. Of course, she's doing her own review, Sugar in the Raw, on YouTube of this season of RuPaul's Drag Race. I've checked it out. You should too. It's a hoot. And, of course, she'll be touring with her girls from this season. Well, there you go. Now, 6 queens are left. Sweet Marie. One more elimination and we've got our top 5. And then it's on to crowning this year's drag superstar. We're just going to have to tune into RuPaul's Drag Race next week to find out how it all goes down. And then when you're done, you come on back and see me so you and I can compare notes. Now, until then, don't forget, like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel because you know you loved it. And don't forget to tell your friends about me. Also, I just want to remind you my computer died. So if you're thinking of supporting me on Patreon, now's a good time. But if you're not interested in supporting me on Patreon, but would like to give me a tip, as it were, I put my PayPal, direct PayPal as well. If you feel like throwing me a couple of bucks in my attempt at reviving my computer, I would totally appreciate it. But there is no requirement for you to do so to continue enjoying the Fingerdoo review. But if you join me on Patreon, you'll get my drink tutorials before anyone else will, including this week's tutorial for the depth charge. You got to watch out. That shot glass is still in there. You want to gulp it back, I'm just saying. Well, I also have merchandise on Redbubble if you'd like to get yourself a t-shirt and support me that way. All the links are down below, including the recipe for this cocktail. And until next week, miss me. Mwah! Seriously, Jorge. This is very refreshing, that water.